As for whether or not there's a crisis in the humanities, if there is, it's entirely an externally generated crisis. There was a crisis in the humanities in the 1990s, particularly in the humanities and the soft social sciences around in linguistic and cultural turn, what's sometimes thought of as the culture wars of the 1990s. And that was a crisis, that was an intellectual crisis within the humanities. I do not think there's an intellectual crisis in the humanities today. What I think there is a crisis that's being generated by certain political groups that are hostile to certain trends within the university, within the academic world, who feel that the humanities and particularly the soft social sciences tend to lean too far to the left, to not represent a full range of public opinion, and who also are very much driven by a certain neoliberal discourse about utility and usefulness, and have a hard time precisely because they generally find the kind of thinking that goes on in the humanities as incompatible with their way of seeing the world, have a hard time seeing the humanities as producing anything of utility, anything useful, anything that's fungible, anything that can be turned into money. So I think that the pressure on the humanities is entirely a politically generated pressure. I think it also is not entirely, I shouldn't say entirely, but in large part a politically generated pressure. And then to some extent, of course, it's also generated by the Great Recession of 2007, 2008, and the concern that our undergraduates very understandably have, and their parents have, for them eventually being able to get a job when they leave college. And it is one of the saddest things to me that precisely at the moment when the field of economics demonstrated its utter inability to respond effectively to a very serious crisis in American life, the number of economics majors has gone up precipitously, at least at my university. And so what you can see is, despite the emphasis on utility, in fact, it's not about utility, it's about the way in which the market has been shaped so that certain skills are getting amply rewarded in US society and other skills are not. Because if we lived in Finland, where a high school history teacher would be compensated similar to the way somebody who was an economist for the government, then we would have more students studying history and fewer studying economics.